Death is coming for us all. And as long as games have had characters, so too have we had a mortal coil for them to shuffle off. But over the last generation or so, death has become less relevant. Save systems mean that mechanically, being laid to eternal rest is little more than a slap on the wrist. There are, however, rare exceptions which prove the rule by creating new twists on digital mortality. So here are 8 games where death still actually matters. Ordinarily, death in a non-MMO online game means nothing. If anything, the worst you're looking at is a slow build-up of low-level callousing and the grim realisation that the one life you have to live is fruitlessly ebbing away, lost forever, like tears in the rain. In GTA Online, however, death can literally cost you. Die outside of a mission and you'll drop a wad of cash. If someone picks it up and sticks it in the bank, for example the person who just murdered you, it's theirs forever. We might only be talking about a measly $100 or so, but there's a principle at stake. Well, that and motorbikes and burritos and internet dating, but let's not split hairs. Principles. Most roguelikes like to play around with the concept of death, making it something to be avoided at all costs, while also making it 100% unavoidable. Rogue Legacy takes a particularly interesting approach, using death as a game mechanic in its own right. Here, death is about empowerment, not defeat. You can collect as much fat loot as you want, but it will remain useless until you die. You know that amazing +1 sword of apocalyptic innard squelching? Well, you'll never get the chance to wield it, but the grandson you'll never meet will probably love it. It's a bit like planting trees for future generations, but the fertiliser is your own dead body and the tree is made of claymores. Okay, it's all like that, but let's move on. Imagine the scariest horror film you've ever seen. Now imagine a version of it in which any of the characters, should they have sex or bumble into the wrong dark room, can have a do-over resurrection thanks to a save point. Suddenly, it's not scary anymore. The whole structure of DayZ is built around making death matter. You have a persistent character who grows, evolves and improves as you gradually scavenge new gear and weapons on your hard-fought journey across the wilderness. But if you die, you actually die. Well, not actually, because that would be illegal and damaging to the game's player base. But your in-game avatar is gone forever. Not only does that make the threat of death constantly terrifying, but it makes each run of the game pant-shittingly unique. Death in ZombiU is about risk and reward. At least it would be if the reward wasn't a kick in the balls just to check you're still breathing. We've seen at least 4 episodes of House, so we know that having your throat torn out will kill you. ZombiU doesn't shy away from this important lesson. Thus, when you restart, you come back as a new character, without any of the kit that your previous, now rotting self accrued. You can accept the brutality of this situation like a mewling child and start from scratch, or you can powerfully stride back to your reanimated corpse and attempt to claim back your kit despite the fact that you're now as threatening as a child's toy trumpet. And if all that isn't scary enough, there's a hardcore mode which doesn't even let you continue. The chain is only as strong as its most frequently chewed corpse. That's how the phrase goes, more or less, and the axiom is particularly applicable to Call of Duty Zombies mode. Thanks to the combined wonder of levelling, perks and gameplay escalation, a team will get stronger as the challenge gets tougher. That, after all, is the nature of things in a chronologically linear universe based on causal resonance, but you already knew that. The problem, though, is that if one of your merry band of cadaver-toasting gun monkeys should happen to die, he or she will respawn with precisely jack shit of the ability required to fight off a moth, living or undead. If this happens at a later stage, the meaty sack of dead weight can rapidly drag the whole team down to a slowly digested early grave.
Behind you! Take cover!
Central. I think I just found another one of the recon team. Or what's left of him.
Losing a veteran soldier in XCOM is a painful experience in two very distinct ways. First of all, there's the emotional chest chop of witnessing the hopeless death of a character you've trained and become attached to over the course of a heroic career. Secondly, there are gameplay circumstances to take into account. If your top-level Archangel sniper has just been melted by aliens, there's a good chance the game is getting harder. Certainly you can replace them with a rookie, but what chance has that poor, fresh out of training grunt got at a stage in the campaign which murdered one of your brightest and best? On the flip side, if he survives long enough to prove himself, he'll become an instant, bona fide, a big damn hero. But the aliens will probably get him first. File this one under XCOM turned up to the volume of 1,000 nightmares. If you're not playing Fire Emblem on Classic mode, then you're not really playing Fire Emblem. You're just fooling yourself into thinking something not as good as Fire Emblem is Fire Emblem, because in Classic mode, dead characters stay dead. You lose more than a fundamental part of your battle strategy. You also have to face the crushing sense of loss which comes when a character dies after hours of unique dialogue, often leaving behind a spouse and children who now face a future alone thanks to your fat-thumbed buffoonery. And yes, the hard reset button is still cheating, you monster.
Yes, indeed. The dark sign brands the undead.
Unlike most games, death is not strictly a penalty in Dark Souls. In fact, it's not even a traditional fail state. Rather, it's a central gameplay mechanic and the narrative theme used to fuel what Dark Souls is. If you die, or really, when you die, you'll respawn at the nearest campfire safe spot. You'll be reduced to your non-human hollow form, deprived of all humanity and souls. You will, however, keep all the equipment and weaponry you were carrying when you died. Survive long enough to make it back to your own bloody smear, and you can recover your bounty. If you die again, you'll permanently lose your souls. The interplay between these two states makes it a legitimate gameplay element. Doubly so when you consider that the blood smears left by other players can give great hints at dangers to come and even inspire tactics to overcome them. Now, we've tried to make this sound all calm and reasonable, but Ornstein and Smaug can still f*** off to Mars. Well, that's all we've got, but if you can think of a game where death means more than just a swift restart, we'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, because if you don't like us, we'll actually die. Okay, that's a lie, but please may we have one anyway. Thank you, bye!
That was a pretty sweet video, right? If you want to see more, go to GamesRadar's YouTube page over here, or if you want to read, maybe up your game a little bit, go to GamesRadar.com.